Hi everyone, Malik here. I wanted to share with you something that is very important to know. Actually, Andrei Karpathy just shared with us the most important repository maybe in AI research history right now, because he built something that can do auto research by itself. So this accelerates actually the production of LLMs. Why is it so important? So AI researchers in general, they put so much time and effort into bringing an LLM to work, like ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. And with such repository, with such capability that an LLM can do the auto research by itself without human intervention, is definitely something revolutionary, because it will not need any human in the loop anymore. And the thing is, when we do these kind of things, when we start pre-training and ingesting data for LLMs, and then tokenize this data. So this is like the preparation of the data. I don't want to get too technical here, but after that, there is a training phase. And the training phase, it needs huge human intervention to visualize what's happening and why it's happening, and correct some hyperparameters. So tweak it a little bit and do some fine tuning in order to make sure that the LLM doesn't get into too much hallucination, and to make sure it doesn't really get always like bad results because hyperparameters weren't adjusted after it got us these bad results. So we need to always keep an eye on it and tweak it until it has everything adjusted to give us the output that we want, and it acts as a real assistant. Then we can start treating it as such and continue with the training and optimizing this all the time to get the better result. In this process, Andrei Karpathy just automated it. So let's look together what this means. So this is not really for technical people. I'm not myself really like an AI researcher, but I was able to understand what this thing do, and I will get you to understand it as well if you stick with me for the next 5 minutes. It's not too long, but I really wanted to share with you why this is important and how it works. So I will open my Visual Studio. I go to Explorer. I go to Clone Repository. And there I just paste what I copied there, like the Andrei Karpathy one, clone from URL. And it asks me to select a folder where to copy it. So here is how it looks like. It just brought me the files that were created by Andrei Karpathy. And what I did here is actually interesting. So instead of going through everything like the README, the prepare, the etc., so they are the main files actually here that will get the LLM to work are prepare.py and train.py, which are the scripts that allow us to load a ton of data from some sources and get it tokenized and prepared for the LLM, right, to be processed. And when it's there, we get to train the LLM on that data and make sure that it uses it efficiently. And this is where there is a huge human intervention here, even though the LLM can do some back propagation in case that it didn't do something well automatically by itself. But still, it still needs human intervention in case that we need to adjust the hyperparameters to fine-tune it a little bit. So it's not just the weights that it can do through backpropagation, but it can also need us to tweak some other things, right? So for example, there are activation functions, learning rates, the batch size. So a lot of things that we need to control as humans. And this, Andrei Karpathy just got rid of it. So if I look here now to what I did is to explain me what this file or what this whole project is about. It's here describing what is already in README a little bit. But then when it goes to files, so it's explaining README is about the project concept, how it works, etc. The project configuration file and the dependencies we need to bring mainly. So then we have the prepare.py, and this is a script to get the data and to load it and tokenize it. So the fact here is that this will accelerate research a lot. And now everyone has access to open source models. We can literally download open source models and get them trained with this script here on what we needed to be trained on. We can go niche to what we needed to be expert in, for example. And so we download only data that is related to content creation, for example. like books, etc. So this kind of libraries, they exist, and we can download really targeted data. So in prepare as well, we can control it a little bit, so we get the data that we wanted to get trained on. And then in train, we will get it to be trained, and this is where we need some hardware to work with us. So it's not a good idea to train an LLM in your laptop mainly, so it's better to purchase something in the cloud, like a GPU that Andrej Karpathy, for example, is using H100, eight GPUs of H100 to train GPT-2. This is quite a lot of money to spend monthly to do that. So maybe you don't need that, and you can also pick smaller models that can actually work even without a big GPU. So just with your laptop GPU, but it still has like very few parameters. It's not a very big model, less than 2 billion parameters. It should be working well. But anyways, the train.py is really about doing the stuff of fine-tuning, optimizing the parameters, creating the training loops. And this is where actually we are eliminating the human intervention here. So it will literally just check by itself and optimize by itself, as we see in this graph here. It ran like 83 experiments. How many times did it try that? And here we have the validation, and the lower the score is here, the better we are getting with our model. It means that it's getting more precise with its responses, and it's evolving by itself here. It's just giving us a report how many experiments it went through and if it improved or not. So that's the thing, and that's really a big thing. And as I'm focusing more on the business side of AI, I also wanted to highlight how this kind of idea of auto-researching and improving a model can also work if you are creating some experiment yourself, business experiment on your business, to see, for example, to get some data around businesses or best practices in your niche, and start experimenting, compare it to how you are doing things in your business. If you have data, for example, or your business is existing since some time, you can load your data here based on some process you want to improve and get it to work for you. Get these scripts literally and transform them to something that can work to improve your business, instead of building an LLM, which is really heavy on resources, etc. But for your business, I don't think your data is a lot, and you still can get something visually. If you are really good compared to your competition, compared to what you are writing, can it be better based on some AI agent that will evaluate this for you and give you the results and experiment itself even, and give you some results on what is really working in businesses right now. This said, I think this is a huge new thing, and I don't think, I'm not an optimistic guy about AI and where it's getting, because it's getting scarier and it's moving so fast. And I think this one thing here will allow everyone to start doing researches. If you just understood the concepts I talk about a little bit here, I didn't really explain all the technical stuff in details. But this is really what's happening when ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini are releasing their models. So everyone now, I think, can build their own targeted LLMs based on some open source LLMs. There is so many of them. I will list them actually in the description if you want to check them. But yeah, you can download your model, you can train it, you can do whatever you want with it. And AI will do the heavy lifting for you. You don't even need to be an AI researcher, and you can end up with your own LLM. That's the thing. So I will keep experimenting with this, and I will keep you updated, guys, on that. It sounds really interesting and exciting, but at the same time, as I said, a little bit scarier. So yeah, just subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with what's happening in the market. See you next time.